Hey everybody, I just wanted to come on here and make a super kind of short video addressing a video that I watched with Danielle on All Time Media. She's one of those Kensington, regulars. She's like the star of the Kensington documentary series. Um, you see why. She has like an awesome personality, and some people on there, it's really incredible that there are channels and individuals that document Kensington. I don't watch those videos a lot because they depress me and they are triggering, I think, in a way. But it's important to document it, this time in history where people are just dying on the streets. And side note, it's kind of irksome that those are like niche channels. There are a few people who are doing literally the Lord's work, documenting and handing out water bottles to people who are just, in a living hell, barely alive. Like their soul, you can tell by their eyes either that they still have life left inside of their hearts, or some of them, their just eyes have just been eaten alive. Their soul has been eaten. They are practically, for all intents and purposes, zombies. By this drug. It's crazy to see. You can tell who's like gone. But anyway, people fucking protest. Oh man, pardon my French. People protest like that stupid Karen's no kings thing or whatever. And people protest political stuff, and it's inorganic because it just is. You can tell. I think it's rather obvious that it's inorganic. The no kings thing, that was totally inorganic. Because if a movement is organic, then you're going to know what the hell it is. It's not going to have a slogan and a New York Times ad from the get-go. That was like corporate. It was like a corporate Karen maneuver, and people actually showed up for that. Anything political. George Floyd. That's why I knew too that was like top down, because he wasn't the first. He wasn't the first to be on video, and he wasn't the last. Um, but it's like, where are the protests? Where's the outrage? Where's the something for the people who are dying in major cities? Like, why isn't something being done? Why don't we like protest the right things? And maybe it's because if you're going to protest, then maybe your head's already screwed up anyway, because protesting is at its core, bottom line, so incredibly ineffective. But anyway, side note, Danielle, she has a great personality. She has a strong personality, and she's just one of those people. It's like you hate to see it because they're just lost in their addiction. And she was on the streets forever. She went to jail and cleaned up. And according to her in her own interview, she said, I went to jail. I detoxed. I did my time from outstanding warrants. Things were going well. I got a job as a waitress, and I got bored. Some time passed. And then it's like you realize, you wake up and you're like, man, I'm in the grind. I have to go to work. And what am I going to do when I get home? And I think that was Dr. Vogel on Dexter. She said that too. I think she said boredom specifically. It's like a killer, and it will. That's what got me too. It took me like 4.5 years. I have been sober, and I wanted to be sober. And everybody who's in active addiction, almost like at their core, even if they're not ready, they want to be sober, in the sense that everybody wants to be okay. But, I wanted to be sober. I wanted to be functional. I wanted to go back to college and have like a place to call my own. And I had all those things. And then like some years passed, and it was like, man, it's like something was unfulfilled. And I think that's what we have to ask ourselves. Like, because everybody gets bored, but actually not many people, the majority of the people don't have to like ingest poison to feel alive. And so if you're struggling with addiction, don't have sobriety be your goal, because you have to realize, like, think about your goal as like addressing what led you to use in the first place. And it's going to be like, a response to your trauma, but it's not the trauma itself. It's your response. Or it's going to be like your response to like the everyday, thankless Tuesday, and just kind of the monotony of life. And that's what I was saying in a few videos back about just like saying yes, like, oh my God, crocheting, that looks like fun. Actually, let me do that. We're like learning tarot or getting a freaking bicycle, whatever. Like all this stuff is fun, even just like everything you do consciously, it's awesome. That's why I take my shoes off and I put like my bare feet on the earth. And when I can put my bare feet on moss, it is like a spiritual experience, like I saved a bee, and this is like a small example, but it's everything in a way. And for a while, I was like, wow, why am I getting so emotional? Because I saved a bumblebee. But bumblebees, it needed saving. It was drowning. And I caught it right before it drowned on like a little floaty or whatever in the pool. And I got the bee out and I was kind of blowing on it on my hands very carefully. And it just like wasn't moving. I mean, it was moving, it was alive, but I was like, man, it's not going to make it. And so I was like, wow, let me like use the times that we have and use the Google machine in my hands. What can I do to help? And it said, put some honey on like the flower, because I had set it on a flower. I had dried it off and blowed on it and put like my hot breath on this bee to try to like revive it and dry it off. And it just wasn't eating the flower, and it was like super lethargic. And I put some honey on it, and sure enough, um, I like saved a life. And I know that sounds stupid to say, but it's all connected. And I used to think like, oh, it was just a bee, that's silly, but it felt bigger than that because it was. And God, maybe even if you got together, even if you wanted to like start a movement or start a protest or really do something or get out your fucking picket sign or whatever, you're like a little pin or ribbon or something, maybe if you have that type of like get up and go, maybe it would just be the more pertinent thing to do to say, what do I actually stand for? What is really going on? And just like be the best version of ourselves that we can be, and have that be the chain reaction, instead of just take it from like a centered place. Like that's what I'm telling myself, because it was the boredom of every day. It was the self-loathing. And I was always trying to do as I was taught, keep up with these external measures, um and then I realized, like, after almost dying so many times, after decades of life and self-loathing and just like punishing myself for being alive, I realized, like, wow, I never measured up to like this sick ass society. And as I was taught, the good little perfectionist girl that I was, as I was taught, I turned that inward and said, well, what can I do to change myself to better like mesh with the masses and, show a little gratitude while I'm at it. When the fact is this whole thing is like, fucked up. And a lot of it's coming from like a place of like hatred and fear and all this bullshit. I saw a video the other day. I didn't watch it, but just like the title got me. It was like, oh God. I mean, I don't know what it said. I'm totally paraphrasing here, but this was truly the gist of it. It was like 2035, 20, I think it was 2035, 2037, like right around the corner. It's going to be hell for a while. And that was it. Hell's coming. That was the title of the video. And I was like, wow, like, what does it matter if that's coming, if the Simpsons are right, if the Vatican's correct, and in the end of days, hallelujah. If that's true, what the hell can we do about it? Just try to live from a place of love. And when we do feel that we have to poison ourselves so we can feel less or we can feel more, we have to like rush to the edge of a cliff just so we can escape, just so we can feel like we are reaching our heads like above the water for like a little nanosecond or something. Maybe we can just say, wait a second, pump the fucking brakes. I am worthy of life. I don't have to punish myself because of these arbitrary broke ass systems or whatever the case, or because I had trauma in my past. We can take a different stand. We don't have to poison ourselves. We've been taught to just hate ourselves. It's really disgusting. We are so beautiful and life is so beautiful. And when you consciously just put your feet to the earth, save a bumblebee, learn to knit, do something awesome, like watch True Detective season 1, goes without saying. It's not going to be like, oh, season 3, nobody, fuck that season. Season 1 of True Detective, I watched it for the third time again, and it was like, wow. I mean, it was spiritual. There is a lot of good. Even if Hollywood's deader than dead, there's still a lot of quality and soul touching entertainment. It doesn't all have to be like super deep. And we can still do these things and be like, wow, we are alive, we are worthy, and let's show that just by loving ourselves and acting like it. So y'all have a good night. Sorry about rambling.